Qualifying 2 for the International GT Open here in Portimao. About to get underway. The session has just gone green. We have 30 minutes to determine the grid for this afternoon's second race of the weekend. Yesterday, it was Carol Bash in the Pro-Am Olymp Racing Audi that took the overall honours in qualifying yesterday ahead of Fabian Schiller's Get Speed Mercedes. A very different affair though, qualifying yesterday after a early deluge yesterday. The session today has been declared wet, but it is looking significantly drier than it was about an hour ago when we arrived at the circuit. I wouldn't be surprised, really, to see the cars out on slick tyres already, but they do have the options for wet tyres should they feel it is necessary. Chris Stevens and George Morgan in the commentary box this morning. George, very different conditions to what we had yesterday.
Massively different, Chris. We've had interchangeable conditions right through the weekend, really. Obviously, they've had to battle with it through free practice, leading up through towards the first official sessions of the weekend. And yesterday was no different. But as we're now watching them make their way back out, as you can see, still a darkened, dampened series of patches out on circuit, but it does look to be drying up, seeing as we do have a blue sky with only a fair little bit of cloud, but still nonetheless great performances yesterday across the board. Fabian Schiller and Anthony Bartone hitting the heights yesterday, Chris.
Yeah, they took the overall race win yesterday by some 18 seconds. Maiden win for Anthony Bartone in only his third GT Open weekend appearance. Great to see the number 17 Motorpark Mercedes back out on track. Diego Menchaca parked that car up at the end of qualifying yesterday with an engine issue. It then did not get out for the race. But good to see it back up and running. Few cars heading straight back into pit lane. I wonder if those are cars that have opted for one type of tyre and then tried to go for a different type of tyre for these conditions. Maybe gone out on wets and realised, actually, we can go with slicks. We're on board here with Nico Menzel aboard the car collection Porsche. Got 3 Porsches on the grid for this year, the 992 model. And the only other time we've seen the 992 specification of this car out was at the Spa Enduro last year with Uber Motorsport. So we've got 3 for the full season. And Gustav Bergström was qualifying the car yesterday. It is the turn of Nico Menzel. Today, the Carrera Cup Asia champion from a couple of years ago and multiple Nürburgring 24-hour Pro-Am winner. So he'll definitely be one to watch. Dominic Baumann in the number 20 SBS Automotive Performance Mercedes. We didn't see too many of the pro cars actually fighting right up at the sharp end of the field because we had Pro-Am runners Spirit of Race with Eddie Cheever and Marco Pulcini, and also the Olymp Audi of Marcin Jedlinski and Carol Bash actually on the overall podium. But maybe today will be a slightly different affair. Now we've got a yellow flag out at turn 1. This is why Laurent de Meijers in the 55. Oh, another car has gone off by the sound of it as well. So maybe conditions are not as easy as we thought. And spinning up those rear wheels, that 296 ain't going nowhere. And that looked like the ISR Audi that had also been off as well, that just came off a picture. And we've got a red flag because that car is going to need intervention to get it out of the gravel trap.
Yeah, so it's all neutralized, at least for now, here at the start of qualifying. And at this point, we are frozen on the 26-minute 18 mark right now. As you can see, the car's now bringing it down to a slowish halt with Nico Menzel and, of course, his teammate Gustav Bergström. We saw them right in the thick of a battle yesterday when they were duking it out for the top 10 placings. Of course, we then saw, at the same time, Mikel Pitamba launching up a big move up the inside through this very corner, incidentally, at Tora Vip at turn 5. Very nearly making a 4-wide situation work out for him. Could have been a triple overtake, but backed off slightly in the process. But as we take a look in the pit lane, this was the number 10 Oregon car that was also very busy yesterday with Jordan Pepper at the wheel. And of course, they're going to swap over now with his teammate now taking the helm. But still, great to see all these cars back out here this season. We witnessed a grand race yesterday full of twists and turns with Pro-Am featuring on the podium twice over with the likes of Carol Bash and Marcin Jedlinski, despite holding P2 overall for such a long period of time. Marcin Jedlinski doing a grand job with Carol Bash coaching him through those through that final stint during the course of the race. They were eventually closed down by Marco Polcini at the wheel of the Spirit of Race Ferrari after Eddie Cheever's heroic stint in the initial. And that led to them taking that Pro-Am victory, their first one of the season, and displacing the team that would win the title the year prior to them. There's the 63 Oregon team. Now, they'll be looking for a better day, Chris, because, of course, unfortunately, due to a brake failure for what has to be said, one poor soul, Marzio Moretti, it meant that this very car and Marzio's car ended up being taken out due to that incident down at Toravit.
Yeah, Marzio Moretti in the number 19 car had a brake failure going into the hairpin at turn 5, took to the grass and just pray that he didn't hit anyone. Unfortunately, he did, and it turned out to be his teammate, the 63 car, which was, not a great way to start the year. Lauren DeMeus's car has been extracted from the gravel trap, and he's making his way back out and depositing gravel all over the circuit now as well. Need to do the old accelerate hard, brake hard technique to try and get that gravel out as quick as possible. Got the number 12 car collection, Porsche of Hash, who is just waiting patiently at the end of pit lane. And Hash making his first full season of motorsport, having made his GT3 competition debut last year. He's going to be joined in the end of pit lane now by the 61 AF Corsa Ferrari. Jean-Claude Sada, or no, it's Conrad Grinwald at the car, at the helm of that car at the moment. No lap times actually been set so far, because we had a red flag less than 4 minutes into the session. According to the timing screen, it's Adam Osaka leading with a 9-minute 2-second lap at the moment. Blistering speed. No, actually, felt like a 9-minute lap yesterday, such were the conditions yesterday. It's Marco Polcini there in the Spirit of Race by AF Corsa. Great to see Blau Motorsport back in the GT Open. Our 2020 Pro-Am champions Marcelo Hahn and Alam Coder. They described that as their highlight of their racing career. The Brazilian duo who have had a fair bit of success out there in the other side of the pond. Come back to Europe for another year in the GT Open. Starting to get a few more cars queuing up at the end of pit lane. So I imagine they think that the session will go green very shortly. In fact, it will. In 10 seconds' time, we'll be going green again.
Yeah, it won't be long now, and Hash will lead them out back onto the circuit here at the Algarve, the roller coaster circuit, once again returning to the GT Open calendar as it did last season. Of course, we had Estoril the season prior, which offered plenty of action in its own right. But great to be here at the Algarve, as we now see the cars make their way back out onto the circuit. Lewis Proctor as well stepping in. Stuart Proctor did the qualifying yesterday for the second Greystone McLaren 720S GT3. The Vimana team also making their way out as well. There's the other Greystone GT car in the background. That, of course, will be driven by Oliver Webb, who was also furiously quick yesterday trying to close out their race with a positive result. But back out onto the circuit, you can still see the sprinklings of gravel that's been left, certainly in wake by Laurent de Meus after he managed to get himself back out onto the track. So it may take some time for that to clear up, but I'm sure it won't take too long as they now dive down in towards Tor a bit. Very important that they put the preparations in place for a good fast run here in qualifying. The warm-up stint, getting the rubber up to the right temperature, is obviously vital in order to try and enlist your best laps. So that's exactly what many of these drivers will be thinking about and taking into account where it comes to getting solid grid positioning. And one team that is going to be heavily looking at that is the Easterland Racing Audi team. Obviously coming off the back of a difficult day yesterday, I got a chance to speak to Simon Riker in the paddock yesterday, and he was obviously a little bit despondent given the fact that they felt that they had a couple of issues in terms of the braking, the weather obviously exacerbating that. We did have plenty of changeable conditions. They could not quite get their feet under the table with qualifying, and unfortunately positioned them towards the rear of the grid. But they'll come back fighting this time around, looking to become champions for the first time in the driver's sense, as opposed to just being the team's champions of last season. But we will wait and see what they can spring this time with Christopher Haase, a vastly experienced GT3 racer at the wheel. and I'm sure he'll be looking to bring his best in this instance. There's also Oregon team who have got a triple header coming out and being closely pursued by that East Talent Audi that I was just talking about as well. Haase at the wheel and already looking to clear some traffic ahead of him, ready to prepare for a fast lap later on.
The Pellin Racing Ferrari 488 and the Konrad Grunwald, of course, of Ferrari, are under investigation for being in the fast lane before the fast lane was opened. So when the red flag came out, they did close the fast lane. Now, they weren't the only cars queuing up at the end of pit lane. Haas was there for some time, but I think he was already in the fast lane when the red flag came out. So one to watch there. Actual penalties or reprimands to be applied. This is on board with Giuseppe Cipriani, only driver in the field who runs solo in these races aboard his Il Baron Rampante Lamborghini. Second amongst the AM runners yesterday, former champion, but second to the reigning champions last year. And that number one East Talent Audi with Christopher Haase, Audi Works driver, aboard that car. Of course, Audi decided they're not building any new GT3 cars for the foreseeable future, but still providing technical support to their existing customer teams and keeping their factory drivers on board, which is great to see, because we still get to see the fantastic R8 out in force. Although you can't even buy the road-going version anymore as of last month, so we'll enjoy that car while we can. Now, this car yesterday had quite an eventful race. The Almanar Racing number 77, Al-Faisal Al-Zubair, got spun round at the first corner yesterday, but through a fantastic effort between himself and his teammate Michael Grenier, they ended up finishing fourth on the road, which was pretty astonishing, all things considered. They were facing backwards at the first corner. So this is still a fiercely fast entry. Al-Faisal Al-Zubair having run with Fabian Schiller for the last couple of years, but Schiller now running with Anthony Bartone in the sister Get Speed car. This is on board with the 66 Greystone GT McLaren. This is the Proctors, the dad and lad combination from Aberdeen. And it is son Lewis Proctor at the wheel of the car currently, and he is currently fastest. Although, right as I said that, Thomas Eichen beat him by 1.2 seconds, but we're still very early into the stages of this qualifying session. You can hear the 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine aboard that McLaren. 2 Greystone GT entries for McLaren this year. The sister car being fielded by Ollie Webb and Andre Barron. They're making their way out of turn 13 into the penultimate corner is Lewis Proctor. You see how quickly it can change, because Proctor's dropped all the way down to 17th since he started this lap. But, this will no doubt put him a little bit higher up, because it's done 2 personal bests. Christopher Haase goes fastest meanwhile. Proctor goes 6th fastest and second of the Pro-Am runners. See, Haase's gone fastest, but tucks right up behind Konrad Grunwald's Ferrari 296. But it is Haase by 1/10 of a second to Michael Grenier at the moment on a 1:41.501. And that tells me they are on slick tyres.
Yeah, without a doubt. Christopher Haase nestling in the fastest start with a 1:41.501. Grenier, who was briefly holding on to the top spots with Luca Ludwig in second. Haase pipping the pair of them. Paul Cini as well, currently 4th fastest ahead of Vincent Abril as well, who currently sits in 5th. So we're now starting to see some of the pro contenders rising to the top here in this stint, as we now witness Michael Grenier again making his way up the hill, and instantly will be moving to a right. Now, in terms of improvements, Grenier currently purple in the first sector with a 31.791, 31.235 in sector 2 is still faster than Luca Ludwig's second sector time, which was a Ludwig personal improvement. So a big third sector here for Grenier, who is constantly improving, as you can see through the course of the lap, was just under 0.2 faster in the first sector, with just being just slightly over 3/10 in the second sector, so improving all the time here, Grenier, as he now heads down the hill, out of Galp Corner and through down towards the long straight, which will of course team up for his next run, but crosses the line now immediately, goes fastest again, strengthens his hold on top of this current standing, just under 3/10 faster, a 1:41.210 for the Mercedes AMG GT3.
2017 Super Trofeo Europe champion Michael Grenier spent the last couple of years racing in IMSA in the GTD competition. Not the only one in the field to be coming over from the American Series. Of course, Tiemann van der Helm racing the Porsche 963 in the GTP class, and he's on board one of the car collection Pro-Am entries. But for now, Michael Grenier fastest in this session with just under 19 minutes still to run, so still plenty of time for things to shake around. Christopher Haase in second, Luca Ludwig on Pro-Am pole provisionally in the Racing 1 Ferrari 296. But that is, yeah, it's the 69, isn't it? Viloba Corsa, by the looks of it, I think. That was up at turns 10 and 11, but looked like a pretty harmless spin, gone on their way.
On Earth Aaron and Tom Jackson's car, unfortunately finding its way off the track as we now ride on board with Anthony Bartone as well, making his way through this next stride. He's just caught up with the Vermana Mercedes AMG GT3 as they now circle around. Bartone looking for that clean air, has found it, currently sits 9th, not bad. Top 10 would be ideal if you're Bartone, because obviously coming off the back of the victory yesterday, they did have Fabian Schiller qualifying for them. Bartone, of course, debuting in GT3 racing full-time as a driver. Certainly he would get speed, enlists a 1:43. Did, though, surround himself with a little bit of traffic as the Vermana by Get Speed car made its way back out onto the circuit. Christopher Haase flirting as well with that top spot. He's trying to get closer to Michael Grenier's time. He's only 87 thousandths out the way of it, but he is still on a personal improvement as Bartone has a little twitch heading through turn 3. Here comes Haase heading down the straight. He's putting everything into this final sector. Could this be enough to topple Michael Grenier from the top spot? It certainly is. A fantastic final sector as well with a 1:41.087, popping the East Talent Audi to the top here this time at Portimao.
I weren't super happy with the braking performance on that car yesterday. Simon Riker saying he had to take it a little bit easy in his stint. But whatever problems they had on that car yesterday, it seems like they've sorted them out, because that car is looking very, very rapid, as it always does in the hands of Christopher Haase. It was the team that won the Teams Championship, and for a few weeks the Drivers' Championship as well, but they'll be coming back with full force, trying to take the Drivers' title again. And this lap's looking pretty good as well. Fastest in the first sector again. See how much he's pushing the limits. Yeah, see how much he's pushing the limits on this lap. Now we'll keep an eye on the track limits, because that, of course, has been a big talking point. It's not an improvement in the middle sector for Haase, but still a quick lap, as Nico Menzel's just gone second fastest with a purple final sector as well, to within 38 thousandths of Haase's benchmark aboard the car collection Porsche. We'll see what Haase can do. See slight tweaks on the livery on the left-hand side. Looks like he's bailed out of this one. He's weaving across on that very short straight between the penultimate and final turn. So I'm surprised that this does end up. He did still go faster. Okay, well, he's improved by a few hundredths of a second and puts a 10th between himself and Nico Menzel, who we're now on board with, but he himself has got traffic. Laurent Demeas's Ferrari 296, the one that was in the gravel at turn 1 a little bit earlier on and brought out the red flags, right in front of him. And Menzel's got to try and find his way through. It's looking more like a race than qualifying at the moment, as he looks to the outside line at turn 11, going the long way around. Thought for a second he was going to do the old up and under, but Menzel now in clean air. This is the pro entry from Car Collection that he shares with Gustav Bergström. The other two Car Collection Porsches being raced in the Pro-Am category. Nico Menzel, 26-year-old from Adenau in Germany. When you come from Adenau, it's no wonder you end up racing at the Nürburgring.
No, not at all. As we now watch Menzel make his way down the straight, no doubt after encountering the traffic, this would have hindered his lap somewhat, so he'd have to go again and try and improve. Great lap, though, from Lewis Proctor to go fourth fastest ahead of Luca Ludwig, but it's instantly deleted for track limits, I believe, at turn 8. Oh, no, that was actually car 1's time. That was Christopher Haas's previous lap. So the lap where he actually gained a 10th on Nico Menzel has now been stripped. Haas, though, has gone purple in the middle sector. We're seeing that now with 31.039. So there is improvements in the offing for Haas. Menzel still remains second. Great performance on display here so far from Christian Korzanowski, who is doing a superb job in the AM category, leading the AM runners here in qualifying so far, with Adam Osaka, the second fastest AM driver here in the top 10 as well. So the AM certainly delivering a very strong performance here, with Cipriani down in 15th and Heiko Neumann, after winning the AM race yesterday, now finding himself there in behind Cipriani at this point. But we've got certainly plenty of pro runners still at the very top, though. The top 3 and also 5, 6 and 7.
Yeah, the top 2 in AM only separated by 0.2 of a second at the moment. Christian Korzanowski and Adam Osaka. So good competition there still. Of course, Pro-Am is where we're expecting the biggest fight to be, with 20-odd cars competing in that category this weekend. 34 entries in total for this weekend, and 33, I think, a full season as well. So we had 35 on the original entry list, but the Goodspeed Racing Mercedes had to withdraw. Not quite ready in time for this first round. We'll hope to see them in Hockenheim, as Lewis Proctor now sets the fastest time. We're into the 1-minute 40s now.
Track's still improving at this point. Proctor finding that immensely fast. That 1:40.937 puts him at just over 1.5 tenths, in fact bang on 1.5 tenths faster than Christopher Haase, who now sits in second. Nico Menzel down in third. Michael Grenier now in the pits as well, alongside Luca Ludwig and Dominic Baumann, who I'm sure will be making his way out. Marcos Seibert has found a personal improvement in the first sector as well, with a 32.051, which in comparison on this current lap is still a little bit slower than what Proctor is able to find in this first sector. He's just gone a personal best in sector 1, and factor that in, that is of course purple at this point as well. So the McLaren's certainly going to work here at Portimao, but he needs to extract it throughout the rest of the lap, as we now watch him make his way, peeling through the next left-hander. He's got this next blind right-hander as well. Very easy to get this one wrong, and Proctor has lost time coming out of the second sector, a 31.363. It's not immensely far out. He could recover this in sector 3 alone, but he has got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. Hopefully it won't hinder him too much as they come out of turn 13 through Sagre and then heading down in towards the Galp corner. He's going to try and keep this pin to the inside and then put his foot to the floor once again and burst down. Vincent Abril now going fastest in the first and middle sectors, so the time starts to cascade downwards, so the track starts to heat up. Here comes Proctor. Has he found anything else in this final sector to coincide with what he achieved in sector 1? No, it's a 1:41.260. But nevertheless, the 1:40.937 still enough to keep Proctor right at the head of the field, but he could yet be displaced by Vincent Abril, who is purple currently on this lap. He was just over 1/10 of a second faster, nearly 1.5 tenths faster in the first sector, just under 1/10 faster in the second sector, as they now see him cross the line now, and a 1:41.003, that final sector upsetting the balance of his lap.
Yeah, didn't actually improve, did he? Well, it's saying it is, but it's not actually updated on the timing screen just yet. It's saying he's done a 41.0, but he's still only in 8th place with a 41.8. So unless that time got immediately deleted, or we just have to wait for it to update itself once again. It was being a little sluggish yesterday, wasn't it, the timing? So we'll wait and see, but it's saying he did a 41.0. Pulled that 51A, of course, Ferrari. This is Marcos Seibert in the 17 Motor Park car. Marcos Seibert back partnering Diego Menchaca once again after missing the last 2 rounds to compete in the European Le Mans Series last year. And might well have that same problem again later in the year as well. But for now, they are back partnered once again. The 2 dear friends who worked together at Campos some years ago. This is a couple of the Pro-Am cars circulating a little bit further back. It was Marco Polcini in the Corsa Ferrari, and then this in the 24 Greystone McLaren is Andre Borodin. Number 10, Oregon Lamborghini is Alessio Deleda, car he shares with Jordan Pepper. You can tell the 3 cars apart. This one has a bit of extra yellow trim on its car. You see it on the front and on the lights and the front mirrors and the rear wing as well. The 19 has the green trim, and the 63 has the pink trim. So the 3 colours of the Pirate team being used to differentiate between the cars. He was banging on the limiter there on the run-up towards turns 10 and 11. But Deleda, the former motorcycle racer, who then switched to single-seater racing in 2018, now a Lamborghini Junior driver, doing his first season in the GT Open, having joined the Oregon team last year in Italian GT. Blau Motorsport car not moving at a hefty pace at the moment.
Hasn't done too bad on the timing tower, 6th fastest at this point, and actually 3rd in Pro-Am class as well, so looking really strong. And Alan Codet, who put in the shift in on this occasion. Luca Ludwig currently sat 7th with Dominic Baumann down in 8th place. With 7 minutes and 45 to go, they'll be registering their final laps, I'm sure, coming into the end of the session. Personal improvements as well on offer for Giorgio Sunaghiotto, now a Pro-Am this campaign. And we've got other personal improvements on offer with Adam Osaka going green in the first 2 sectors alike, and further greens as well with Charles Bateman registering a 32.1 in Sector 1. So they're all starting to come into fruition this time. There's Korzanowski, who we're currently seeing on screen, the familiar Olymp purple livery. It's making its way around the track, and in familiar sight as well, the purple belonging to that of this SPS Performance Mercedes that is being driven by Dominic Baumann and also Mikael Pitamba, who took the stint yesterday morning. Now they're registering purple in the first 2 sectors again this time, so could yet be an SPS Performance Mercedes on top instead of the Get Speed that we had yesterday, registering at the top end of the field, as we now see them make their way through the final corners. 2/10 improvement in that first sector, just under 2/10, lost 100th in Sector 2, but it won't be enough to upset the purple lap that he's currently got on offer. Needs to try and hook up a purple 3rd sector as well in order to hammer this lap time home. Will make his way down the straight. In comes Dominic Baumann, back in GT, here for a full season campaign. Fastest now with 6 minutes and 25 to go.
By a quarter of a second as well, 1:46.89 over Lewis Proctor, but Chris Vaasa and Mikael Grenier have just rejoined the track, and what a lightning first attempt for Christopher Haase on this lap so far. Let's see Dominic Baumann continuing on his way. Let's see if he continues to push. He is not. 32.5 in the first sector, not quite the pace he was looking for there. What are we going to see? The big bounce through that final corner. Absolutely incredible. And look at that, sparking on the front left corner there. Dominic Baumann,
that's what absolutely I call committed, Chris. Committed.
Yeah, absolutely committed from the 31-year-old Austrian.
Great to see him back.
Stuff. Yeah, it really is. There's been so many drivers in the field this year who have had to have a couple of years hiatus from racing, but have found a home once again here in the GT Open, and Dominic Baumann is one of those drivers, and only because he filled in for Reece Barr in the final round last year. Now, yes, Christopher Haase setting the timing screen alight in the middle sector. It wasn't a personal best in the first sector, but could still be an improvement here for Haase. He goes second fastest. a 10.5 away from Dominic Bauman's provisional pole time at the moment. Michael Grenier on a decent lap as well. He goes second fastest as well, bridges the gap even more, less than a 1/10 of a second now between the top two, 147.88 for Grenier in that Almanar Mercedes. So top four separated by a quarter of a second as it stands. Marcos Sieber has just gone up to fifth fastest in the Motorpark Mercedes as well. It's exactly where Diego Menchaca qualified the car yesterday before it had its engine issue. And Menchaca did actually end up taking a photo on the grid where he was supposed to be starting, just to say, I did actually make it to the grid yesterday.
Fine margins between the top two, 99,000 separating Michael Grenier and Dominic Bauman at the head of the order. Bauman, of course, spearheading the field at this stage, currently in the pits, as well as we keep our eyes peeled on Michael Grenier, who would like to make it one step further and enlist pole position here for this Almanar Racing by Get Speed car. Get Speed certainly looks so strong here at the start of the campaign, and indeed it is a purple middle sector here for Michael Grenier. Has found yet bigger improvements. That certainly seems to be the crux of the lap, is that middle sector, but needs to try and hook it up in the final, and already flashing the lights. He looks to try and clear some of the traffic that lies in wait for him. Hopefully that hasn't disturbed him too much as he makes his way down the inside, heading through the Gulf corner now. Let's wait and see what this brings. Might have been a tricky run, and he's got yet more traffic as well in front of him this time as well. I think that might be the Easterlent Audi that's just currently making its way around. Haase, of course, currently third fastest. They burst down the straight. He's going to get a useful tow up towards the line. In comes Michael Grenier. Is there any improvements on offer? No, he did lose time off the back of the impact in chasing that, well, certainly flurry of cars heading out of turn 13.
Second, third and fourth in the timing screen. Also Linus Stern on the racetrack at the moment. They're all there.
Yeah.
Christopher Haase, then Michael Grenier, and then Lewis Proctor. Interesting. They're all squabbling over the same piece of racetrack at the moment. Dominic Bauman has pulled into pit lane, so he thinks that's just about all he's got left in the tank, I'd say, because we've only got 2.5 minutes left in this session. So unless he left right about now, he wouldn't be able to get out in time for another quick lap. So it looks like that's going to be it. That could also be it for Michael Grenier. So let's see what's Christopher Haase got on offer. Again, not a personal best in the first sector. But well, Nico Menzel's now just gone third fastest as well, a 1/10 of a second away from Dominic Bauman. So it's Mercedes, Porsche, Haase, McLaren in the Haase, Audi. Goodness me. Mercedes, Porsche, Audi, McLaren in the top five at the moment. And well, they look pretty happy at SBS, don't they?
Yeah.
It seems like it's job done at the moment. But let's see, minute and a half left on the clock. Lewis Proctor still continuing to find improvements in the first sector, but not able to do so in the middle sector. Haas has just gone across the line as well. No improvements there. Proctor, no, he can't improve on fifth position at the moment, but still holds the Pro-Am pole as it stands. Nico Menzel on a decent lap here. Personal best in the first sector and very close in the second sector as well. That Lamborghini keeps well clear on the left-hand side. Menzel swings it into the right-hander and puts his foot flat to the floor, unleashing the taps on that 4.2-litre flat six engine. The car collection Porsche making its way up towards the timing line, and Nico Menzel, will he be an improvement on third place? Yes, it's second fastest, 65 thousandths of a second away from Dominic Bauman's provisional pole time, 1:47.54. But still nobody seems to be able to usurp Bauman up at the front.
No, top three all within a 1/10 of a second as well, which is truly stunning to see. Just goes to show how close it has gotten to in the International GT Open this season. Christopher Haase is still remaining in fourth fastest. His first sector on this lap at 31.739, which is just, well, it's within a 1/10 of a second of the personal best that Nico Menzel put in the first sector on the previous lap. As we're seeing Haase come around now, 31.2 as well in sector 2, as we now observe. And keep our eyes peeled as Alan Coder, also currently sat in 11th place, is in the pits. And a little mistake from Menzel. Checkered flag is now out. So as it stands, it's Dominic Baumann, who in this instance will be on pole position for the race later on this afternoon. Race 2 here at Portimao. No signs of improvements from Nico Menzel so far, but he's only 85 thousandths out the way for potentially improving.
Yeah, but he wasn't just off the track between turn 7 and 8. He was way off the curbing as well. So I can't imagine this will be considered a legal lap once it gets over the line, but doesn't look like it be an improvement anyway. But either way, on board with the 15 machine. Car Collection making their full-fledged debut in the GT Open this weekend, having a thick supported line speed entry a little bit last year, but Menzel over the line. It's not an improvement in the end, so that running wide moment at turn 7 is for naught, and it is Dominic Baumann and SBS Automotive Performance on pole position for race number 2 this afternoon. Nico Menzel, close but no cigar, and Michael Grenier putting Get Speed right up there in 3rd position as well. It's less than a 10th of a second separating the top 3 in this qualifying session.
Yeah, truly brilliant, and a great return as well for SBS Performance. They've had a good weekend so far, and no doubt there's going to be jubilance there seen as we now pan across the pictures inside the SBS Performance garage. Dominic Baumann absolutely delighted with that, as I'm sure Mikel Pitamba is as well. They've got a great chance at a huge result here this afternoon, and if we can take anything from what we saw back at Barcelona when these two were first manacled together for the final round of the International GT Open, if you've got Pitamba behind the wheel for your final stint and your car is in front, the walls of defense go up as well. So it's going to take everything for the rest of these drivers to try and knock this pairing down.
It's going to be great to watch, isn't it? Of course, last time they were together, they were victorious in this combination. But here are the results then from qualifying 2. It's Dominic Baumann on pole position, head of Nico Menzel and Michael Grenier in 3rd. Christopher Haase puts the East Talent Racing Audi in 4th. And then Lewis Proctor secures Pro-Am pole position for Greystone GT. Marcos Siebert in 6th for Team Motorpark. Thomas Eichen, his teammate, just behind him. Vincent Abril in the Spirit of Race Ferrari in 8th. Luca Ludwig in 9th, and then Leonardo Polcini 10th for Oregon Lamborghini, Alan Coder and Giorgio Sernigiotto on row 6. Adam Osaka securing the AM pole position for Get Speed, just ahead of Christian Korzanowski's Olymp Ferrari. Conrad Grunwald, Anthony Bartone, yesterday's race winner in 16th. Marco Polcini, yesterday's Pro-Am race winner, 17th. Then Charles Bateman, Artem Petrov, and Paolo Roberti, Alessio Di Leda, Libor Melota, Giuseppe Cipriani, Marcin Jedlinski, Bashar Mardini, Heiko Neumann, yesterday's AM race winner in 26th, Dexter Muller, Michael Blanchimont, Valentin Pierberg, and Laurent Demayes completing the top 30. Then it's Andre Borodin, Gino Fulgioni, Hash, and Amir Naran completing the 34-car field. And we can now hear from Dominic Baumann, who's with Alfredo.
Dominic Baumann, pole position for race 2 here at Portimao. A good way to start the day, yeah?
Absolutely. It was at the beginning, it was a bit wet on the main straight, but we started with slicks. The car was amazing. The second set I had no traffic. It was just a great lap. I was a bit okay. It was a really good lap time. I hope it's good for P1, but now everything is done. I'm really happy with it. For sure for the race, it's a good position. After yesterday, we struggled a bit. The race is still long, 50 minutes. We look forward. We have a good driver pairing, so it's a good starting position for that, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Very good package this year with the SPS Mercedes and Mikhail, who's young and fast. You can be fighting for the championship.
We hope so. That's the plan. So I got the last call last year in Barcelona. We won the race, which was amazing. So now I'm here full season with Mikhail to support him, to support the team. Big foundation is done with the first pole position. And yeah, it just feels great. And I hope we can continue like this in the future races.
All the best for later, in any case. Thank you.
Well, it'll be Dominic Baumann and SBS Performance who lead the field away for this afternoon's race, which will get underway at 12:20 local time. We'll see you then.